Hey there, YouTube. I was just catching up on some reading. My name's Scott Brackett. I do music and I record videos of music, and Yamaha has asked me to do a quick video about how I make music in my studio using Yamaha equipment. As you can see, I have a fair amount of it, and there's a couple of really good reasons why I specifically like Yamaha equipment for writing and a couple other tasks. So let's get started.
So before I talk about process, let me give you a quick studio tour and talk about how I sort of structure my week around a weekly refresh. So I've got two stations. There's this sitting area, which I typically start building a rig, from something small, a QY100 for example, or a reface. And then I've got my other standing station, which is generally I put my MOXF up here or computer stuff. I'm building a computer rig. It also doubles as a dog crate for that creature. So anyways, I refresh everything every week, put everything all the way back, start with a fresh room, and that kind of requires staying super organized, which is really nice. Here I keep my Midi cables and USB cables. There's audio and quarter-inch, eighth-inch, etc. Then there's some additional audio, RCA, dongles, and power supplies and extensions. So every week I put everything back into its hard cases if it's not going to be displayed on the shelf, and keep it out of the way from dust. And then I also have a nice clean room to start. I'm going to talk in a minute about why I don't start with a computer usually. It's not that I don't like computers, but I am just much more inspired by these little machines that kind of have all-in-one functionality, and you can just walk up and start writing. My music making partner and I have created a ton of material for QY100, so we've written on a pair of them a whole album called Team Lift. There's also kind of the consumer level stuff that I really like the sound of, and just sort of the playfulness of things like the DD7. And then of course there's the flagship MOXF. This thing is amazing. It's only 14 pounds, but it has a lot of the firepower of a motif, and it has the best sequencer I've ever dealt with. And I absolutely love writing on it, and love being able to just walk up, boot it up in 7 seconds, and still have a lot of sonic power at my disposal. I probably get the bulk of my writing done on the MOXF, and then I can use it to control external sequencers later if I want different tones. But a lot of the time I end up just using what the MOXF does. I also use the Yamaha Recorder app for iOS quite a lot, particularly for writing challenges and stuff when I want to be getting things up onto SoundCloud quick. And then of course I make use of the Tenorion app, which I believe I have TNR-E. It's a great little app, and the original Tenori is awesome too.
So for me, writing songs typically follows this flow. I start by writing patterns into a hardware sequencer, and then I sort of have some idea about how I want those parts to flow, and I perform them into a computer or record them and then arrange them in the DAW. Then do any overdubs that I need to do with other instruments or leads that I've left room for. Then I mix it and hopefully ship it to someone else for mastering. What I find is that I want to keep as much of this process away from just sitting in front of a traditional computer keyboard setup. It's something I got to do for my day job, so when it comes to being creative, it's hard for me to sort of get into the same headspace when I'm just doing the exact same thing I did for 8 hours. It's nice to have a very different setup. It's nice to have an uncluttered workstation, just one device sitting in front of me, one little package. And with the MOXF in particular, I don't have to really give up much, because you can do multiple measures per pattern per track. So I can have one track that's running a 3 measure long pattern and another that's running a 76 bar pattern, up to 256 measures per track per pattern. But point is, I can write it all, and it's in MIDI up to that point. And I can either perform, just as I was saying, track it into the song mode in the device itself, the MOXF, or I can perform that into a computer controlling other hardware synths. And the thing I like about that is that I typically don't like to have computers involved in my stage rig either. They just are not that stable, or I should say the kind of computers that I can afford at this point are not stable enough to be running live setups. And have to remember to mute your email notifications and any social media stuff. You have to make sure that no updates happened overnight that might ruin your sound card or whatever. You don't have to worry about any of that with hardware sequencers. So by doing this approach, when it comes time to perform it live, I've got all the pieces, all the patterns written, and I can swap out different hardware synths to be controlled via MIDI when I go to stage, and then I've left some room for me to play leads live. So it ends up being a really lightweight kind of approach.
So what that looks like in practice basically is Monday morning or Monday evening, whenever I have time before or after work, I'll set up a quick rig, usually just one piece like the QY or just the MOXF on its own, and I'll use the internal sounds just to get up and get writing quickly. Usually I come upon something that I'd like to Instagram, so I set up the iPhone recording rig. Then next day maybe I'll add another thing and do the same thing. Maybe the next day after that I find something else I like. So as I go throughout the week, I kind of create all these little pieces of songs or refine other pieces that I've written in previous weeks. And, sometimes stuff comes together really fast and I really want to get something down on tape, so I'll put it up on Instagram and just have that idea there. And then I think about it more, and by the time the weekend rolls around or I have some time in the evening, I can actually track that idea and make it into a proper song. But a lot of these ideas just, I don't know, they don't feel strong enough to pursue. So it's nice to do these live jams and stuff because I got the practice and they still kind of have a life of their own out there, and hopefully other people enjoy seeing them.
So, thanks for tuning in. I had a lot of fun showing y'all around my studio, and hopefully there's something in the process or the way that I deconstructed my own process that helped you. I, for one, had a lot of fun just breaking it down, and if you ever have time to think about how you write a song, I'd recommend really gritting it out and seeing exactly what your process is. I was surprised to learn a couple things. So thanks to Yamaha for giving me this project and caring at all about the content I put out. Specifically Miriam, William, Nate, Blake, Keith, and Tony. Everyone who I've ever worked with from the Yamaha synth department has been awesome. So I presume the rest of you are as well. So thank you. And yeah, product designers, engineers, marketers, thanks for making synths. I think y'all make a really good contribution to the global sort of understanding of electronic music. So yeah, thank you. I think that's it. So I'll see you guys later.